hold up now, wait till you get older. But the media men beg to differ, judging by the hole in the satellite picture. The ice we skate is getting pretty thin. The water's getting warm, so you might as well swim. My world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get paid.
Or featured on a soundtrack.
I have no idea, but I've started the show anyways. We'll see what Smash Mouth thinks about it when we get the copyright notice from YouTube.
I mean, we can sing it, hey now, you're relevant, you're welcome, say thanks. That could be our song lyrics.
Maybe, possibly. That could be a thing.
Hell yeah.
Wait. I think you can use this one. There you go.
Hell yeah, I'm playing. Want to see something cool first? Check this out.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are you talking to me?
Oh, no. Well, the show is already on. So,
Oh.
yeah. So, welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sports Goofs. This is Francisco with Andrew and Charles.
Well, no Charles at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, we lost him.
We lost him.
So
I can still hear him.
really? Charles, can you hear me?
He's gone. I can hear him in the background.
Yeah, it's weird. Charles?
I have no idea what happened.
Ugh. Gotta love our preparedness.
You go. Go ahead. I'll figure it out.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As Francisco said a couple of seconds ago, this is Sports Goofs, episode 54. I am your lovely co-host, Andrew, alongside Francisco, who is working diligently to get the third goof, Charles, back into the show. Tonight we have a lovely throwback game. We've got All-Star Baseball 2004 from, was it Acclaim? I think it was Acclaim, right?
Yes, very dead Acclaim, but yes.
Very dead Acclaim. I used to have this game on the original Xbox, and wasn't the best game in the world, but it had a ton of really cool extra features that I don't know. I may show, I may not. Who knows? But for now, we're trying to get Charles back, and we have lost internet connection.
No, we haven't.
Oh, there it goes.
You lost it. I saw it.
Well, that's all that matters.
Okay, so I think I've figured it out. Charles, are you there? Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me. You know what? Nothing. Hold on. I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
So just a quick note about this game. The opening song is All-Star by Smash Mouth. And bear in mind, this is before it became a very popular meme. This was maybe 3 or so years after it was released. So it was actually legitimately popular at the time. Not saying that it isn't popular now, but you know what I mean. And then also...
It wasn't a meme and a Shrek meme
right.
either.
Shrek is love.
Mm-hmm.
Shrek is life. And then the main menu song is probably one of my favorite movie themes of all time. And it's the theme from The Natural, which if you haven't seen that movie, please do. It is such a great movie. Robert Redford. I mean, it's probably one of the best baseball movies of all time, but it is also just legitimately a very good movie. And the soundtrack, especially that one song, is just incredible. Since we're waiting, I just want to show you kind of a cool feature that I love about this game. They have stadium tours. And oh, they just have Yankee State. Oh, cool. So you can tour all of the stadiums that are there, but you can also, they have a ton of either made up or old stadiums. One of the fictional stadiums is Acclaim Sports Park, which is based out of Orlando, if I remember correctly. So let's take a tour of it really quick.
Are you for real? I shouldn't question your Orlando knowledge, so never mind.
Check it out.
Oh, wow. Kind of looks like Citi Field, like from the left.
Well, not just that, but the reason I know it's Orlando is that's the Hulk roller coaster, and that's the Doctor Doom drop ride over on the left. You can see it right there now. That's definitely Islands of Adventure in the background there.
Charles, are you there? Are you alive, buddy?
am.
Oh, thank God. We've saved them. Wow. Okay, so, yeah, plenty of stuff to talk about. I don't know where to start, guys. There's a myriad of things. Andrew, do you have it? I mean, it's not like a myriad of things that are in Everspace 2, that's for sure. So, you know.
Your single server MMO.
I guess since we're talking about baseball, we can talk about baseball. I don't know if you guys have been following spring training.
Well, of course I have.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's more that you guys are following that more than you're following the Asterisk tour.
I'm more following the Asterisk tour.
Oh, all right. That's perfect. So if for those who do not know, the Asterisk tour, there's a guy that developed a Twitter account that is solely dedicated to the shaming of the Houston Astros for well, actually, he did an interview with like a YouTube or other sports podcast, and he said that he's going to keep going until either Major League Baseball actually does something against him, like steals, like not steals. Well, not steals. That's what they do in Houston, but would take away the championship, or Rob Manfred resigns.
Which is never going to happen. So we can expect him to be around for a long time.
Yeah, at this point, I forgot how many followers he's got at this point. It blew up. He blew up. Let's see, Asterisk.
While I'm thinking about it,
It's at Asterisk Tour on Twitter. 2020 Astros Shame Tour. He's got 161,000 followers, and he created this in February 2020.
that's one hell of a. Can't have shame when you're dirty.
Yeah, you can't have shame when you're dirty. I mean, you can always get pre-alpha access on Eversace too, but who knows? Maybe you can steal signs over there too.
No shame in that. Really quick, I'm just curious. Check out over here.
Okay, future Shea, future Phillies, future ballparks. Okay.
They have all these future ballparks. So it's kind of curious to see,
It's very
back
interesting.
in 2004 what they thought things would look like.
That's incredibly interesting. I find it
Like,
this is so cool.
I'll just run through the list really quick. You got DC Stadium. Like I said, the game sucks. The actual gameplay is terrible, but the special features that come with it were absolutely incredible. So this is what they thought of Nationals Park, I guess.
Yeah, this is 2004, so it's 2003 Expos.
Right.
Like that season, the Expos would play their final season at Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, yeah, they parked it right in front of the Capitol building. Don't know how they would have done that.
Right.
That's so cool. I never knew they had this feature.
I told you, I picked this game up from back when there were such things as video stores. Well, it wasn't Blockbuster. It was kind of an off-brand version of it. They had this for like dirt cheap, so I was like, yeah, I'll pick it up. I love baseball. I love video games.
That's so interesting. I find it
So I'll just keep going
one
through
of the
the
coolest.
list.
Yeah, go ahead. Let it play in the background. So, since we're here on the topic of baseball, did you guys? So that's the Houston Astros Shame Tour. There's some pretty fun videos there. Did you see the one with the guy like in the middle of a rain delay, standing in front of the Astros dugout in the rain and just like barking at them? Are you guys gonna give back the trophy? Are you guys gonna give back your rings? And then one of the Astros coaches barked back saying, he's like, are you gonna come keep paying to see us and do this? He's like, I'm gonna keep coming to do this. That's what the guy said back to him. Honestly, it's the Astros can't do anything about this. They can't bark back. They can't nothing. They have to shut up and take it.
And they deserve every single bit of heckling they get.
You showed me something that Alex Rodriguez just said.
Correct.
Yeah.
A-Rod was covering the...
That was you posted. Who posted that?
I did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I have words on
ESPN
that too,
posted.
because it's so
Okay.
surprising.
So...
Was that your real MVP?
Who, the...
Oh,
A-Rod?
Yeah.
I guess so. Why not?
Okay.
Um,
Alex Rodriguez adding another MVP to his large repertoire. This one is actually rightfully gained.
right. So A-Rod was doing the ESPN coverage of the Yankees-Red Sox spring training game today. We're over here in future Philly. So what is now Citizens Bank Park. Anyway, A-Rod was talking about how he thinks it's ridiculous that the Astros have not shown any sort of remorse for what they did. And he gained a lot of... I don't have a ton of respect for people who took steroids. I mean, I know it was legal, but still... I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with it. But he said something that I thought was really cool and kind of gained a little bit of respect in my eyes, which is he said, I had the longest suspension in Major League Baseball history, which is true. He was suspended for 211 games, which is... so it's a full season plus...
Yeah.
Almost, I think it's a full season plus
Almost
49.
Yeah, so maybe a year and a third or something like that.
Yeah, like
or almost almost a year and a half.
Those two have
so
since endorsed
he
Joe
missed
Biden.
a lot of games.
One of the
and he
most
said that it
important
ended up
states on
costing him
Super Tuesday
$35
is
million
Texas.
when you put together how much salary he wasn't paid for those games. And here's where it got interesting. He said, and I deserved it. And like, thank you, A-Rod, for owning up to a really bad thing that you did. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, of the world, you know, it's not that bad, but still in the interest of fair play in a game that I love, you know, that was not that cool.
Just to interject here, a Gottlieb goon to CBS Sports' website, just having those annoying pop-up videos that you could hear it on the freaking thing. They were talking about the freaking primary elections or whatever, all that stuff. I don't care about that right now. I just care about this important stuff like sports. Gottlieb goon to that because that's very annoying. It tanks everything. This is why we have ad blockers, people. This is why we have ad blockers, because you've made it so annoying with all the ads on there. Sorry, that was an aside, Gottlieb goon. Alex Rodriguez, it's amazing how much he's turned around his image post-career. And he's got the money to hire people to help him do that. And he made a good point that he kind of he actually took a bit of a hiatus away from baseball after he retired to allow, because if he just jumped right into something, people would have been not receptive to it. But now he's spent some years apart from the game. Then he returned now as a broadcaster. He's actually really good at it. He's a natural there. And he's helped repair his image to being somebody knowledgeable at baseball, somebody that truly, as much as you want to harp on how much he cheated, he knows the game.
No question.
He knows the game.
Absolutely.
He was good at what he did. It was just a shame that he had to use nefarious methods. He didn't need it.
He didn't need it.
But once again, much like these Astros, they didn't need to cheat. They have good players.
They do. They may not have won the World Series in 2017, but they would still be contending each year for a World Series. And eventually they would break through.
I think that was the fear for them, was that they went through this extreme tanking and all that stuff. And I remember they made the playoffs in 2015, and then they missed in 2016. And therein lies the fear that maybe they can't get over the top. And then this happens. So, and who knows what happened in 2018 and 2019. Of course, there's always the suspicion. Mm-hmm. But 2017, they definitely put themselves to the top. However, I can't say that they would have won the World Series. They lost last year, and they didn't deserve it in 2017, and they missed out in 2018. So, but it's just the natural thing. I mean, they might have they would have been the equivalent of their basketball team, like the Houston Rockets, just really good for a lot of years, just not good enough to get over the hump. Exactly. So,
Jinx.
Okay. Anyways, do you want a Diet Coke this time or a Coke Zero?
No, I can't do sugar free, so okay. I'll gladly take a cherry Pepsi.
All right, well. Okay. All right, Charles. You've got some words, as you have said.
So, allow me to get my soapbox on this one. As a Yankees fan, Alex Rodriguez is one of the most controversial players to root for and to hate, because you love to hate him and you hate to root for him, but when he's on your team at the period of time in the bidding war that was for him, you loved having him. And my feelings on A-Rod have always kind of been mixed. The guy really never showed up when it mattered, despite the fact I think he won 2 AL MVPs with us, except for the one World Series in 2009, because he was Mr. Strikeout at the plate or couldn't hit a bomb or everything. And then came the steroids. And then we came back with a nice World Tour. And then the albatross of a contract that comes into it, to which we basically paid him to retire and still paid him out. Mm-hmm. And then you get this guy who, at the end of the day, A-Rod's career as a Yankee, because here's the thing about A-Rod too, the whole I'm going to announce during the World Series to be like, hey, I'm going to be a free agent. And then he's like, I'm going to return as a Yankee. I'm like, you kind of suck as a human being. Not my favorite player, obviously, not Mr. Personality Guy, as you know, for PR reasons. But then he's kind of softened my heart a little bit. But today, out of all people, you feel a sense of contrition because he has nothing really to gain at this point because he's no longer an active player. So when he can call and say, mea culpa, I did wrong and I owned up to it, and these people, this organization, it's not even the people, because let's be honest here, I think sometimes we blame the players too much more than management, and then we also don't blame the front office enough. It's an entire thing. The Manson family committed all the murders, right? Don't say that to Chuck Manson, but or Charles Manson, but he'll say differently. But for some reason, that's the first thing that popped in my head. So forgive me for going graphic. Please don't investigate people who are listening. The Manson murders, don't do that. But I'll think of a better example when time passes by in the shower as I'm thinking about things. But you're all culpable to a degree. The only people, and you mentioned in Francisco that people who deserve it, the only person who really doesn't deserve it is Dusty Baker, even though he's going to be a living scapegoat throughout the whole season, and he deserves more than that. And also any player who was not an Astro at that time. But for A-Rod to go up there and say, hey, I owned up to it, I did this, I took some time off, it really puts into perspective of the idea of giving back to the game post-career playing, even though he's making nice bucks as being the face of ESPN baseball, which I don't know about you guys, but it kind of loses its luster every couple of years. because they switch out too many people. They don't have the right people. I kind of miss Crucky a little bit. That's just me. But it's interesting for a guy who really had nothing to gain to make these statements because he already knows he's not getting into the Hall of Fame unless the Hall of Fame voters kind of get off their high horse and start doing what I think there's a lot of collective people out there to say, hey, HGH and steroid users should come in because it's the nature of the game at that time. More on that at a different period, maybe 10 years from now for Sports Group 5000. But it's just interesting for me to see it because you get somebody who was, I think, relatively hated in the MLB. We loved him and we, right? He in the community from when he came up.
It was, I think he was lovable back in Seattle, but then
even in Texas, I would venture.
Well, his decision to leave for Texas for all of that money when he left. Honestly, if he had stayed with the Mariners with Ichiro and those guys, they probably would have contended for a title. And
or they would have screwed it up.
The Mariners find a way to screw things up all the time, but he went from a good situation to a worse situation, and then kind of lucked out that he got traded to the Yankees, almost got traded to the Red Sox.
Because that was the Yankees were really the only team that could have picked up that contract.
Them Boston, because Boston was in there, but that kind of fell by the wayside.
Because he had
Thankfully.
only been there, he was there 01, 02, 03.
2004 was when A-Rod came in.
Right, so he was 3 years into a 10-year, $252 million contract, which I know seems like peanuts today when you've got Trout's got a $400 million contract or something.
Yeah, Trout's is he just signed it too.
I think
So
it was
all you
330.
youngins,
Yeah, something like that.
all you youngins who think that $252 million is nothing, bear in mind that was far and away the most expensive contract in history.
So Mike Trout's 12 years, $426,500,000
That's crazy.
with
And
a $20 million signing bonus.
That's less than 20 years ago.
Yeah, so
And I know this is a bit of a sidetrack, but also bear in mind, Kevin Brown was the first $1 million player.
$100 million player.
Who got the first $1 million a year contract?
I mean, $1 million a year. Okay, that's what you mean. The history of players getting those massive contracts. Really, Barry Bonds used to be one of the highest paid players. He got one of those when he went from Pittsburgh to San Francisco. But I do distinctly remember when Kevin Brown signed a contract that tipped over the $100 million mark, and that was the big thing. Then Pedro Martinez got something like that, and then A-Rod just completely blew that out of the stratosphere.
Oh, and Charles, for the record, I'm about to put future Yankee Stadium on screen, so if you want to check that out, by all means,
Let's see
how accurate they did it. So, it's basically Yankee Stadium, but with a dome, with a retractable roof. Actually, it looks worse than current Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, they took out the third level in the right
You
field.
can tell this was made by people that were not planning for the digital era, because that's a 55,000 seat stadium. And
look,
no baseball stadium that is being built.
And look, really quick, it was there for a second, but Monument Park is in play at this stadium, like it was in the old days.
Yeah, so they basically made it old Yankee Stadium, but with a retractable roof. But there's no way that would exist today. They wouldn't make it that way. Heck, new Yankee Stadium isn't made that way, or current Yankee Stadium, what do you want to call it now? It's crazy that, a lot of teams are trying to take seats out of their ballparks at this point. The Cleveland Indians, Jacobs Fields, and like a massive amount of their upper deck is just giant boxes that they put on top of the seats, and now they have their retired numbers and their pennants and all that stuff up there. But they were not ready for the digital age, and Major League Baseball isn't ready for the digital age now because Rob Manfred sucks, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to, bring in the millennials and do a fine "How do you do, fellow kids." But any, sorry, Charles, do you have any more thoughts on A-Rod outside of this? I mean,
Collectively speaking,
I mean, I do remember from, was it The Other Guys, the scene where Mark Wahlberg shoots
Right.
Derek Jeter, and the cops are yelling at him. He's like, "You shot Derek Jeter. He's a biracial angel. You should have shot A-Rod." And that was the feeling of Yankees fans for so many years.
I mean, I think I feel that way just because of the fact that he ate up so much of our contract money in those last year and a half, 2 years, and it's like, bleh. But we knew what we were getting ourselves in bed with, so it's like complaining about ordering all the food and eating the appetizers and not being able to finish your dinner and knowing that it's not good if you reheat it in the microwave the next day. The only thing I will say to it is that I'm curious to see, because I haven't really heard it that much. I don't know if you guys have, other former players, whether it be Hall of Fame, recently retired, or whatever, thoughts on the game itself, aside from the Pete Rose controversy and stuff like that.
Well, there was, I think, who's coming in I think ESPN has signed on Chipper Jones to be a broadcaster, and there's some issues with that because he's one of those old school type of guys that isn't, he doesn't like what you would call showboating in baseball now, with the home run celebrations, the bat flipping, and what have you. Even though he has said that pitchers need to get thicker skin, but I think it's a disservice. And this is, once again, I'm moving towards the other thing I wanted to discuss was how to attract people back to baseball, or at least people back to baseball, and people who haven't seen baseball or are casual about it. There's our Lord and Savior on the screen there in front of the show, Derek Jeter. And one of the issues is we have a lot of these teams, the local broadcasters, whether on radio or on TV, they've been there forever. And some would say that they're boomers. A lot of them are boomers and have seen baseball in the old school. And a lot of them do air out their complaints about the current generation of players and how they act and all that type of stuff. And it's very discouraging when the guy that's on your home broadcast is always complaining about the game as it is today. I don't hear that from the NFL broadcasters, but of course NFL has nationally televised games, and they're very careful as to who they have on the screen there. I mean, Tony Romo just got a massive payday.
$17 million a year,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen.
So he's getting paid for 17 weeks of football. He's getting paid $1 million for that alone. Then there's NBA, which is the most progressive of the leagues, has the fun, just freaking inside the NBA on TNT. That alone just blows. That blows any other sports talk, sports analysis on the air anywhere.
Such a great show.
It really is. Even if you, and that's the thing. If you don't like basketball, these guys make it seem like they love each other, but at the same time they get on each other and make fun of each other and have fun, and then you see on the broadcast the players are having fun and all that type of stuff. And Major League Baseball has a issue with the unwritten rules, the mentality of some players, but then the other mentality of other players that really want to make the game more fun and more lively. And here's one of the best things that happened over the spring break, or spring training, really. Some people are on spring break right now, actually. Did you guys see Was it was Anthony Rizzo's at bats with him mic'd up, or did you
Yes.
see and or listen?
I definitely
I
did.
saw
That
it.
was a lot of fun to watch.
It was fantastic to watch. He was funny. He was personable. He made fun of the Astros, which was great. And you kind of got into the mind of him and his approach at the plate.
And I know a lot of people wish that MLB would do that, would do it in the regular season, but I as much as I would as well, I don't think it can happen because you don't see that sort of stuff in football. It's one thing to have the players mic'd up, which is that's already done. But to have them talking to people actively, that's going to distract them.
Yeah, I mean the XFL's trying with
They're
it.
trying.
Yeah, and just getting in players' faces after they make a good
Right.
or a bad play.
But to have them do it, they do it in spring training and they do it in the All-Star games. 2 games that ultimately mean nothing. Which
Right.
I want it more than anyone. As much as the next guy, I would love to have that happen. It would kind of break up a little bit of the monotony, but it's just you can't sacrifice player performance
Right.
just for some entertainment.
Well, I get the cons of it, and there's always always leaving the mic on, which is dangerous because they could say something that could be taken out of context, or they could say something very controversial or something like that. It's like, holy crap, I did not know that Anthony Rizzo thought that way. Oh my goodness gracious, man, I'm not going to Dunkin' Donuts ever again. Like it could be something so crazy that like that, and Major League Baseball does not want that to happen. But players get mic'd up during the games anyways. There's always the even the NHL, they have players mic'd up for a game, and then they play the clips whenever they have something
Right.
clean to play during the broadcast. And I think that would be cool to do more often, but I do hear you. It'd be hard to implement, but it's an idea. And there's another issue. It's hard to watch spring training games.
Oh, look who it is.
Some teams
Barry
broadcast.
Bonds.
Some teams broadcast a lot, but other teams don't. Like the Marlins probably get one broadcast of the spring training game every year, and that's it. So it's hard to get people to latch on and learn about these guys if they barely ever see them. So that's another thing. Somebody made a funny suggestion on, it's like, hey, why don't they just add Major League Baseball uniforms as a Fortnite skin or something to attract the youngins or something like that. I think the play for baseball is to do exactly what the NBA has done and make these players recognizable again. Y'all remember when chicks that dig the long ball?
Mm-hmm.
With the pitchers from the Braves, Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine, were just raking for some weird reason. That type of stuff, that fun stuff, make baseball players fun again. And there are a bunch of great baseball players that are fun, but Major League Baseball has done a horrible job promoting them. And once again, here's another point. Mike Trout. Here's Mike Trout, your best player, highest paid player, buried in Anaheim right now, buried in Disneyland. And they've had a horrible time trying to promote him. Mm-hmm. Here's a suggestion. And this is one of the reasons that I thought of this as well. There was a broadcast of the Red Sox spring training, and the broadcaster was like, they should get rid of Interleague. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? They should get rid of Interleague?
Who said that?
Boston Red Sox TV broadcasters. So I'm like, boomers, once again, you guys are going backwards. We should be encouraging Major League Baseball to restructure the schedule so that
Listen to the interleague haters.
to restructure Major League Baseball, put the DH in the National League, restructure the season, the schedule, so that every team gets to play every other team at least one series in their home ballpark. Because
even if it's just like 2 games.
2 games, 3 games, what have you, you'll find a way to make it even. But there's 162 games. There's a way, believe me. Mike Trout will not be seen at 1/3 of the ballparks this year. There are 10 cities that will not be seeing Mike Trout walk into their ballpark. How is that possible? LeBron James goes to every single one of the NBA arenas. Connor McDavid goes to every single one of the NHL arenas. Only the NFL doesn't have that, but only because they don't have a schedule that can accommodate that.
Right.
But they do a fantastic job promoting the players that they got that are really good. Some new things to do. That's something. That is something. So, or get Steve Buscemi to sneak in to high schools and try and convince kids to like baseball. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't know. You guys want to interject here?
I got a question for you guys on that. And this might be correlation leads to causation or not. Do you feel that sometimes the increase in viewership for the NBA and the NFL, I can't speak too much onto the NHL because I think it's a little bit more similar to baseball, the amount of people that might be able to attract each year, it's because there's also a respective spotlight for those players entering the big leagues in college. Case in point, today's recent stuff, Zion Williamson, you followed his 1-year career in Duke and his Paul George fiasco. Therefore, you want to see the big boy play once he gets the rust off. I was watching the Lakers and Pelicans play the other day. I really don't care for either team, but it might create me to stay up past 10 o'clock to watch it. And then the football wise, I guess Lamar Jackson's an example, but I want to kind of focus on people this year. Granted, there's not a lot of crazy quarterbacks coming in off the bat, but Joe Burrow, for the people who want to see what this Heisman winner did for LSU, leading them to a national championship, they want to see how they transition into the game because now you have more introduction. Whereas in college baseball, I can't list you because, even as a Yankee fan, we're like, we got this guy down AA, he should be good. Great. Call me in 5 years when he's finally ready. Clint Frazier's our example. Clint Frazier's always been our dude, right? And then he's just trade bait half the time. And no one wants to trade for him. And you know what, Cashman, if you can hear me, buddy, Brian, listen to me, Cash Daddy, trade Clint Frazier because there are so many injured pitchers on the Yankees. Paxton, Severino, Domingo's out for domestic violence stuff. I'm rolling with Mashiro Tanaka as my second starter. He was coming in as 4. Lozea, I don't know what we're going to get out of that. Tommy Cal, please just trade Clint. Brett's not retiring. He's a lifetime Yankee, I guess, until he's like decrepit before you trade him. That's my little disclaimer. But bringing it to you guys is part of the idea of bringing the youth is what's our close association to the young crowd to see the kids who are 18, 19, 20, maybe 21, 22 in baseball or basketball and football closely associated to those high schoolers or middle school guys because they get such publicity. Zion was a phenom, man. It couldn't stop. And everybody thought Duke was going to win. There's no one really – this is a very weird college basketball season, so I can't comment on it of, who is the guy because there's, really no national player that I care too much for.
There was Coach Calipari blew up at a reporter because he kept asking – because, Kentucky's kind of had some bad losses this year, and I guess the biggest one was the Evansville loss.
Yep.
And he keeps saying he kept bringing it up. Why are you asking me this question? Because of Evansville? What about the other teams? I bet they've had bad losses and but he just blew up. I don't know why he did that. But,
Duke's been trash, man.
Yeah,
but that's an argument aside if we get to college basketball segments, which will come soon.
It's March Madness, exactly. Yeah.
But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it because I think that is the connection. And look, it's not the fault of the baseball players. I'll leave it at that to open the floor. It's not on college baseball for not being able to poach enough of the kids to stay in college, and it's not really.
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, saying no to the A's and going to football.
Yeah.
There's so many multi-sport athletes that have decided to go the other route instead of going to baseball. A lot of football players play both sports. football and baseball because it's easy to transition from one to the other because the seasons don't really overlap in high school and that type of stuff. So I hear you. It is kind of because baseball has had so little like young phenoms that are like, yeah, this is the guy. That
The one guy you had was Kyler Murray, and it was only because he had, well, from a national standpoint, it's because he was the Heisman winner. And the fact that he turned down $4 million to play in the NFL just shows how, I don't want to say in trouble, but MLB has a lot of work to do if they're going to start bringing in guys. And, like, case in point, did you guys hear about the New York Mets, their new locker room up in Port St. Lucie? Did you hear that, Charles?
That Tradition Field?
No, that's the Yanks.
Are you sure? Because Yanks are usually up in Tampa area.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it used to be called Tradition Field.
Oh.
They probably renamed it.
Yeah, they renamed it to something else. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
So anyway, what happened was the Mets renovated the locker room at the facility. It was $55 million renovation. And the Mets have a minor league team in Port St. Lucie. I think it's called the Port St. Lucie Mets, if I remember correctly.
St. Lucie Mets.
They're not allowed to use that locker room. It's going to be used as storage for the other 48 months of the year that the Mets are not down in spring training.
Yeah.
Here's their rationale. I kid you not. The rationale is they don't want the minor league players to let that sort of luxury go to their heads. That they want them to remember that they're down in the minors and to have something to look forward to play for, which I think is total bullshit. For one thing, the players know they're in the minors. They're getting paid crap, and
a lot of them are going to lose their jobs if this whole MLB contracting of minor league teams is going to happen.
They're going to be contracting 42 teams. So a lot of those guys are losing their jobs, what little money they were getting paid anyway. It was like $14,000 for however many months, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, a lot of them have second jobs.
Right.
After, yeah, exactly.
So a lot of people have been saying, it's well, for one thing, take a note from college football here. There is an arms race right now across college football to make the best facilities possible. LSU just completed a $36 million renovation of its locker room. Its locker room, which is ridiculous. If you've seen what it looks like, it's ridiculous. Nebraska is doing I think 500. Look up the renovation to their facility. Nebraska is doing something big. I think it's like 500,000 square feet.
So LSU is a $28 million locker room renovation, and people are going insane over
for various reasons. Clemson's is ridiculous. They have a mini replica version of the hill that the players run down at Memorial Stadium. They have a slide. They have a VR room. They have a mini golf course. Even at UCF, which compared to those other schools doesn't have a lot of money, they're calling it, it was called the Recovery Cove. But it's basically like a little mini vacation spot. It's got beach volleyball. It's got a lazy river. It's got a pool. And that's for lowly, quote-unquote, UCF, which is making a fraction of what those other schools are making. And, just look around. Alabama, Auburn, all these schools. Take your pick. These facilities are ridiculous. Well, for one thing, they can do it because they're not paying the players, but that's a whole different topic. But the reason they do it is to recruit the best players. They're not getting paid, but they're getting quote-unquote paid with these incredible lavish facilities that they really end up going to be able to use for the rest of their lives if they graduate from the school or they're considered an alumnus, because schools always welcome back their former players. And that is a huge recruiting tool. Going back to my main topic, that is a huge potential recruiting tool for the Port St. Lucie Mets. St. Lucie Mets.
I see. Well, I mean, not just Port St. Lucie, but for baseball in general.
Right, but I'm starting small.
Because baseball teams don't really recruit. They can recruit in that sense if you're trying to sign a kid out of high school.
Exactly.
Okay, or internationally.
Or college. I mean, think about it. You can, if you're the Mets, you can say, look, sign with us, and you're going to get this amazing state-of-the-art locker room that none of the other minor league teams have. This is top-of-the-line stuff designed for the major leaguers. That'll make any high schooler, a lot of high schoolers, they go to college to get an education. It's not like, the one and dones in NBA.
You hear, and if you're gonna ride the bus, why not ride the bus in style?
Exactly. They have to toil down in them. Every player has to do it for the most part. It's very rare that you see a guy jump straight from being drafted into the majors. That's like never happened.
I could see, especially the teams that do own their minor league affiliates.
Right. It makes so much sense just from a recruiting standpoint. And then don't even forget the psychological standpoint. These guys are playing in facilities that are worse than some high schools. Admittedly, these are like really fancy high schools, but you kind of get the point that I'm going with. It's a locker room and name only, basically. Being in that sort of environment for, let's see, April, May, June, July, August, September, it's like seven months out of a year. Leiter's kid gave the Yanks the middle finger.
He was in with his right. He had the right to.
What was
because
that?
Because he wanted to. Because remember, to contribute minorly, no pun intended, Leiter was drafted. I think he was our first round guy. And he says, I'm going to go play to college. So forget you guys. And they even drafted his buddy out of school. And he was like, I'm going to go play in college. I don't know if Al Leiter said certain things. Corruption. Maybe he was like, go to Atlanta. But sometimes they don't want to play in minors. And that's why I'll keep to that. Continue.
That's very interesting, but that's kind of the point I'm getting to. Some of these, the baseball facilities in college are nowhere near as good as the football facilities because football is ultimately the moneymaker. But some colleges have really good facilities. Look at Ole Miss, or was it Mississippi State? Ole Miss. Recently opened up a new facility just for their baseball team. It is amazing. Those outclass any minor league facility, I guarantee it, except for maybe like a new facility from Double or AAA, probably AAA. But if a kid has to choose between college, where he gets to stay in this incredible facility, in a sense he's getting paid because his food's covered. I really do not want to dive into that whole topic tonight because it is way too sticky and messy. But if you had to choose between a really crappy facility where you have to scrape by, I think someone said like 5 players have to split spaghetti rations just to get by, versus getting an education, being covered for your food, and improve your playing ability each day in a really a world-class facility, of course you would take that. But then the psychological aspect I was talking about is, if kind of the saying, if you look good, you feel good. You know that saying?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. If you look good, in this case, if you're playing in a good facility with good amenities, you're going to play good. And that's going to, even if you don't end up making it with that club, that could pay dividends in the future. Even if you don't play in the majors, if you're a respected, good player, you can parlay that into a coaching gig in the minors, in college, even the pros someday. But instead, they're treating these kids, they're kids, a lot of them. They're treating them like crap. They're giving them the worst possible facilities.
Here's an article here from Bleacher Report from 2014 of just guys that they that wrote about their experience here. And here's an excerpt here. In low A ball, I lived without a refrigerator. I had a styrofoam cooler in which I put milk and bread with ice I took from hotels. I didn't have any means by which to cook raw food. No range, not even a microwave. I live entirely off of peanut butter and jelly simply because it couldn't spoil, and it's what I could afford. During spring training in minor league camp, I bought a glass bowl with a lid and used it to make pasta in the hotel microwave or reheat the food I snuck from the complex. In spring training, you were given only $120 per week in meal money, no paycheck. So that was $120 was gone in 3 nights at a sit-down restaurant, or you could stretch it by eating fatty fast foods all week. Ironic, because there are rules about proper diet and being in shape. They go out the window when you're barely paid enough to eat.
It's these players are put between a
Holy
rock
crap,
and a
I
hard
muted
place.
myself that entire time that I said that. But I might have picked it up on you on this thing.
So if these guys are stuck between
Sports Goofs, everybody.
But yeah, these guys are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They don't get the proper nutrition they need in order to be successful. And the reason why is they're not paid enough. But if a multi-million-dollar team, like even the Mets, let's see what the Yankees could do. The Yankees could afford to bump up their facilities for their minor league teams. It wouldn't have to be much. And, just don't sign $100 million, $200 million player, and you'd be able to fix up all your facilities and hire, nutritionists, top of the line strength and conditioning, athletic trainers. Those guys, you don't need to do a single thing about recruiting or, finding a diamond in the rough. Just develop the guys well that are already in your farm system. It's so freaking easy. But these owners are pinching every single possible penny.
Okay. Contrarian corner up in this, because I know where you're coming from, but here's the thing. Are we really pinching pennies if we're throwing the $200 million at the guy that we know has developed in a superstar? Because it's different in like baseball, I think, compared to some of the other stuff, because there are guys who are like lifelonger minor league dudes. They don't come in on being these 3-4 star prospects, I guess in baseball's terms. You got to get the eaters. And we keep eyes on price. Like, we knew we wanted Gleyber Torres from Chicago, so that's why we put the incentive to get Aroldis Chapman. The same thing with Acuna, I guess Trout when he came in. There's guys who are just there, but this isn't like the rookie approach in football where it's like, well, the Patrick Mahomes, let's wait a year, develop him, let him see the system. Your skills as a baseball player, I feel, are vastly different. In the minor league, sometimes you're never going to be able to catch that changeup, that four seam, that two seam, that curve as a hitter, and as a pitcher, not having the control of the location. So I'm all for minor leaguers being treated more better than, I guess, working at the bottom feeding of retail. But what happens is the owners are owning their major league and they're going to say, hey, let's do this for the current fans, because no one's going to really see the St. Lucie Mets unless Tim Tebow's around. That's the reason why they got him in the first place, just saying to add in some, credibility and wonderment, some ticket sales, because you want to see the big guys. So if I'm going to look at the big bucks that could be brought in, I'm going to want to spend on the players. I'm going to want to give them, the major league pitchers, major league hitters, and everything in between, the best kind of strength conditioning coaches that we can, all that stuff. I can understand the two-way argument to it, but I don't know if a farm system, here's the thing about the farm, understanding this, is that every there's a season, right? And once the season's done, the crop's dead, you wait till the next season comes in when you get the new guys. There's that rotation, because once you get to the big leagues also, you're getting all of this additional guys that might stay around forever in free agency. Well, not forever, but God knows some of these contracts are forever, right? But I can't recall certain dudes that spent so long in the minors that came in. I mean, case in point, Tommy Farm, a former Ray, if I'm not mistaken, he was in the minors for such a long time, till about 28, right? And then now he's only having that production, but he had to bounce around some teams.
Right, and I get that. I mean, it's 25 players times 30 rosters. That's, I don't know how much, but it's a couple hundred, a few hundred. So not every guy is going to get into the majors. I get it, but if you have to stanch the bleeding here of the Kyler Murrays or even that kid who decided to forego playing in the U.S. minors to play and get millions of dollars over in Japan. Highly touted high school pitcher. He probably would have had his pick of the litter of teams here in these states, but he would have had to play in the minors for dirt cheap. But instead, he went over to the NPB, which is essentially a AAA league, in equivalency to our farm system, which is still pretty good. He's getting paid millions of dollars. Then when he hits age 25, he's instantly a free agent. So he can, assuming he develops well, he can get millions and millions and millions of dollars as technically an international transfer.
So I want to jump in on that for your opinion. It's not really jumping in on my opinion, just the question that I asked, and that I want to hear from Francisco, because his team is literally the minor league team in the MLB that's trying to see the transition. So you take all that in consideration, but what if I can get the international upstart and I need to do a bidding war and buy out their team, but I know, Shohei Ohtani, right? And all the other Japanese pitchers that didn't seem to clock out properly. How's that play into minor league? Because if I know a guy's think about this, the Ichiros, you guys, Seattle took an opportunity and said, hey, this guy who's already been in the league for a couple of years, killing it, let's put some money from him instead of maybe some of those farm guys. Granted, I can't tell you who those farm system guys were 20 years ago.
I think it could be a tactic to work for, especially for teams that are small markets, teams that can't throw a ton of money at a guy just to nab them in free agency or what have you. So your Kansas City Royals, your Milwaukee Brewers, your just all of your Oakland A's. Of course, I think there are a lot of minor league facilities that they have that are better than their major league facilities, so they're not really a good example. But speaking as a Marlins fan, I know one of the things that the Marlins are trying to do is spend more money internationally and that sort of thing. So I'm not sure how much Derek Jeter has taken into mind how the facilities themselves, but I think he will. I can't. I really can't speak to the Yankees. I don't know how they've treated their facilities. I don't even know if they even own all of their minor league affiliates. They probably do. Any team that has Yankees as their name, they probably do, or even the Tampa Tarpons out in Tampa. But the the Marlins do like a captain camp or something like that, where they have each of the team's captains come and learn under Derek Jeter and type of stuff. So they're trying to do things that are a little extra to baseball. They are trying to teach players how to speak Spanish if they only speak English, so that they can communicate with their teammates. So the Marlins are trying to do these new things that I definitely wouldn't have been done under the old regime.
Which I props to that. I mean,
So that it could be once again a tactic, and you hear about players that want to go to a good culture and that type of stuff, and I think the Marlins are trying to do that under our Lord and Savior. So I I I feel like that it's going that way, but once again, this is a greater baseball issue because it's a greater baseball issue because it's going to be something that's going to be brought up with the new CBA negotiations. And owners are trying to, they're like, well, we're shelling enough money out to these guys in the majors. Now we got to shell out for the minors. And so that's a point of contention right now as to cut off a lot of these teams. And it's a bigger issue than even just the players. It's about communities. It's about teams that they're probably the only game in town, and they've been there decades upon decades. And yeah, they may be in the middle of nowhere in Iowa or what have you, but they're that city's team. And so, and they employ people and that type of stuff. So that's just a bigger overall thing. And there are some really good minor league facilities out there. Good old El Paso, the Chihuahuas ballpark. That place is beautiful. I mean, I've said it before. It is better than Tropicana Field. It is better than Tropicana Field. There are some minor league facilities out there that are really, really good.
they are few and far between, though.
Right, especially when you get to lower single A ball, that type of stuff. But there are some really good ones out there. We'll see. But it is, to the overall point, it is a tactic to try and recruit kids to like and stick with baseball. I think a lot of kids start playing baseball. They do, but they don't stick with it for whatever reason. And so maybe that could be a way to try and entice kids to go. But once again, the baseball is just brutal. Like to the point Charles has made, some guys are just career minor leaguers. The person that taught me how to pitch was the wing. I don't know if he still holds the record, but he was the winningest pitcher in University of Miami Hurricanes baseball history. Won College World Series and stuff like that. Played with noted cheater Alex Cora, unfortunately, but got drafted by the Devil Rays, and never made it out of the minors. I think he might have gotten to Double A.
It's tough.
And then he never panned out. Never panned out for him. I don't know what he did now. Player to remember to forget. But yeah,
Oof.
never panned out for him as far as baseball is concerned. Just didn't have it. So, and he was really good in college though.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just the ceiling.
Ooh.
It's definitely not Florida State because we've never won.
You got it right.
Wow, fantastic.
Even I know college baseball trivia.
Okay, so is that all for baseball right here?
I could keep
We've-
talking.
we've-
Let's be honest.
We're at the 1 hour mark.
You know what that means?
Yeah, exactly. We've talked a ton about it. So it's a word from our non-sponsors. There are people, places, things, concepts that have caught our eye over the last week. So, guys, I don't know who wants to start.
I'll start.
Okay, go ahead.
after I hit this foul ball. My non-sponsor of the week is LA Fitness. As I've been telling the guys, I've been kind of restarting an exercise regime that has kind of been off and on for the past life. So I'm a big swimmer. I was on swim team when I was in high school. It was the best shape I've ever been in my life, and I had a ton of fun. You don't really get sweaty per se. It's easy on the joints, and it's just generally fun. I enjoy doing it. Right now, despite the fact that it was 80 degrees today, temperature's a bit nippy when it comes to the pool at my apartment complex. So I had been previously a member of LA Fitness, and I said, all right, let me restart this membership and get some swimming done in the nice, warm, indoor water that is LA Fitness. And if I decide to, they've got a plenty of, exercise bikes. They've got treadmills. They've got ellipticals. They've got free weights, weights. They have a basketball court in there. This is my particular location. The downside is for the membership that I have, you can only use that LA Fitness. I know some other gyms that you can use whatever facility in that brand you want, but it's a lot more expensive. So yeah, they've got basketball courts, they've got racquetball courts, they've got classes, Zumba, yoga, you name it. And really the only thing I'm using it for right now is the pool. But I'm sure once I get in a bit better shape, I'll be using some other stuff in the facility. So, shout out for me goes to LA Fitness. Promo code Warm Water.
Nice. Okay. I guess I'll go second here. So, guys, look, I listen to a lot of podcasts and watch stuff on YouTube, and I can't believe and I fall in and out of things that I like on these platforms, on a podcast or on YouTube, that type of stuff. So sometimes I'll be like, I'll watch like 5 million videos of a certain person. I go through it for like a week or 2 weeks, and I'm just like super into it, and then I get tired of it and move on to the next thing. But then I always remember, and then I think like maybe like months down the line, man, I really like that. And let me go back and see some more of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to what I have been watching over the past week. So my non-sponsor is, I guess I'll give it to a person overall, because it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysicist.
NDG.
Yes, and at the director.
NDT. I'm sorry.
Yeah, at the director of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. I mean, he's got a fantastic voice.
He does. I envy him so much.
He's got a great voice. He's a good teacher, which is fantastic for what he does, because he deals with a lot of complicated stuff, but he finds a way to simplify it for you, and not dumb it down. I wouldn't say dumb it down, but he simplifies it for you so that you can get the concepts of what he's trying to tell you about the stars and space and life itself. And sometimes you have an existential crisis when you listen to it, like, I'm like a tiny little speck amongst the entire universe, and nothing ever matters ever. But then you can also look at it like, man, this world and this universe is beautiful, and there's so much interconnectedness, and I love everyone and everything. And then you go on Twitter, then you hate everyone and everything. But that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson has done for me. He's a brilliant series of Cosmos that I watched every episode when that came out. on the
Great
day
show.
of when it came out on Fox and on National Geographic. He does this thing called Star Talk Radio, which I've been listening to this entire week. This is why I'm doing this. Star Talk Radio. He has a segment called Cosmic Queries where he answers questions from the public from wherever, and he's there with a comedian Chuck Nice, and they've got a good rapport between the two of them. And it's been really really fun listening to him again, because I do like learning new things. I do love looking at informative videos and learning about the world and everything around me. And I should probably listen to more stuff that has to do with my career, but I don't. It's like, you should really like get your CLE credits done, Francisco. What? Nah, I want to learn about the moon, which has nothing to do with my career or anything about law. But yeah,
I chose the wrong field.
Well, I don't think I could even do that type of work. I really don't. That's way too much math for me. But anyways, well, it might have to do with my career in the future when we have people trying to cross over into the border of the moon. But I'm an immigration attorney, if y'all haven't figured it out by this point. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I go watch, listen to him. He has books, but I don't like reading. So if you're into that, he has all types of ways for you to learn about this stuff. If you're a visual learner, you can watch the videos. If you're an audio learner, you can just listen to his stuff. If you like reading, you can read stuff. He doesn't have a video game yet, but he should. Maybe it's like No Man's Sky or something like that. I have no idea. But Neil deGrasse Tyson, promo code, almost as good as Tyson Chicken.
Jesus. Well, Neil, please listen to our podcast. We know barely anything about sports, and I know nothing of space except that it's vast. So if you want to come and educate us, we more than take that. So mine, you guys, is a little bit different today. It's a little different. Because
it's not food based.
It's not food based, but it contains a food based situation.
Okay.
And I literally made this decision to do it 20 seconds ago, based off an event that happened 2 hours ago. And I remember having to go to this place as a child and not really being the biggest fan of it. And then when I became a bougie attorney, I turned my nose up to this place. But, it's the economy. You want to be fiscally responsible with your money, right? Save up some cash, do all these things. So I went here today to pick up some things I needed. And you guys, I know there's going to be a lot of grannies out there shouting in my support from our viewership, but the Dollar Tree's going to get my love today. I got to tell you, I just popped in there, dropped like $10, got what I need. I got a couple of the Renew-Its, the little air fresheners. I got some pets. It was nice and fresh. I got like a lint trap roller that I keep for the office.
You're not doomsday planning for the virus right now?
No, I'm not. I'm just kind of living my life, because I'll tell you why I'm not doomsday planning at the Dollar Tree is because there I am buying Takis for the first time, a chili lime flavor, which is actually quite delicious, and a hot and honey cheese puffs or cheese doodles. And I bought Hunt's ketchup. I know people love Heinz, but at the end of the day, it's tomato paste. And I was sick of having to beg Wendy's to keep throwing me additional stuff. I'm a man. Don't ask me to live on my knees. And granted, I'm afraid sometimes if I go to Walmart, I hate shopping at Publix sometimes. And I'm saying it right now, Aldi's, you're overrated. All right. How dare you ask me to
hold on a second. Wait a second. I have a point of contention. I love Aldi's.
Well, you know what?
Okay.
They're lying to you.
Okay.
Aldi's is an abusive boyfriend, and you just don't realize it. They make
just
you have to put your own quarter. I don't carry a quarter, man. If I don't have a quarter for the homeless guy or for like the Red Cross or for the Boy Scout or Girl Scout cookies, what makes you think I got a quarter? I just want to borrow your thing, and then you don't have bags for me, so I have to buy my own.
You know how many
bag?
sea turtles they are saving by not having bags?
There's other ways of how you can save the turtles. How about you actually don't throw crap into the damn ocean? That solves the problem. If I contribute, I feel like it's that joke of guns will kill people, people with guns kill people thing. I'm very dark today, but there's a different thing. But then you're making me put a quarter in that I obviously don't have, and if I do have it, it's because I'm probably going to go on the turnpike. And you know what? There's nothing more embarrassing than having to. Side note, we're going on a tangent here. There's nothing more embarrassing than being on the turnpike and you just want to do the exact change because you don't want to give this person a 20 on like a 525 thing, and you have to go around. Okay, you all understand that feeling. Terrible. But then you have to do that. And then I have to go buy a bag. And then if not, they're going to give me this bag, but they're going to shame me. You're going to shame me? You're going to shame me by giving you money? I didn't know. Oh, I was going to say something. I'm like, all right, then I remember the audience is out there. But I didn't know that, it was just a box. I was just be on the soapbox and like be judged by everybody, by Lord and Savior Aldi's. But you know what doesn't judge you? You know what understands your financial difficulties and understands your need to get out there, and actually has some like pleasant people there too, and great last minute birthday cards and Christmas cards for the people that you don't really care about, but they know you're gonna get you stuff, and also birthday wrappings and little gift cards, and then Takis in a weird flavor that you never even knew existed, and then hot and honey cheese doodles, and also you can buy candy there. So if you're going to the movies, stack up on that. Guys, get your girl to bring her biggest purse. You get $5. You can just get a whole bunch of things. Ladies, they even, and I wouldn't recommend this, but they even have home pregnancy test kits. So get on it, I guess. I don't know. Like, it has everything. I am done insulting the Dollar Tree. It also has hand soap.
Oh
so
my
guess
goodness
what? I
gracious.
don't have to use my Dr. Bronner peppermint soap that I use for my body just to wash my hands after I use the restroom. I get to use the soft soap that's in there. That's perfect for the bathroom. Great for the coronavirus, which is in Miami. Love you guys.
Oh
Enjoy
my
dying.
goodness.
I'm going to be okay over here in Martin County because of the Dollar Tree. And yes, Francisco, if need be, and I have to get an emergency anything, a gas mask or whatever the hell they use from like the old IS outbreaks, I only have to spend $1 as opposed to going to Aldi's. They don't even have it. They just have whatever. If I don't have to go to Publix, which is really is just going up there in price, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't even have kids, and I feel like I have kids. So I have to save money for the children. And then Walmart, which is fine, but you know what the problem is? Going to Walmart, it's not like Miami, you guys, where you probably won't run into your clients or the respondents that you go to. We see each other, so they see an attorney who looks like he's in public clothing, and then they see me in my wrestling t-shirt or my pop culture t-shirt, and I'm just a dude. I feel like I'm Robert Downey Jr. I'm just a dude disguised as a dude trying to be another dude. Like, you don't know me, and then you're gonna follow me to my car. And, there's really no panhandlers in the Dollar Tree because even the guys living in the homeless woods has enough to go to the Dollar Tree. It's very welcoming. It accepts all people. It's really like the representation of the Statue of Liberty in a retail environment, and I am done poo-pooing on it. How dare I, in all my years of being alive with money responsibly driving, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17 years, put a ton of, now Family Dollar, store, those are kind of nasty. I could pass on that. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, I got you, dog. You're good. You know what the promo code for all this greatness is? Welcoming.
All right. Okay. I still don't like the blasphemy of the Aldi.
Because they're gaslighting you, Francisco.
Oh no, they
specialize in this.
They keep it simple for me. They keep it simple. I don't go crazy over there. I just need. They're like, we got what you need. All right, you don't need anything more. I'm like, okay, you know what? That's fine. I really don't need any of this other stuff. Just give me your generic crap that you like. I buy the generic Lucky Charms and the generic. They're what do they call it? I forgot what they call the Lucky Charms over there.
Magically delicious.
Yeah, well, they're still actually their Lucky Charms variant of cereal has more marshmallows than the real Lucky Charms does. I have done the ratios already. Okay, they have more marshmallows. So if you're looking for that, go to Aldi's and buy one of those things. Bring a quarter, by the way. Bring a quarter. You know what? Here's Aldi's in Hialeah. Very Hialeah. There's always a guy in the parking lot that will take your cart, and just for the convenience of not walking back over there, I'll let him have the quarter. And there's literally a guy that just sits there all day, getting cart after cart. And I'm trying. How much? Hold on. Let me see. Let's say 100 people go there, 25 cents each. He made $25. I don't know how many people would go within an 8-hour day. That's a very low ratio, but that's still $25. Especially if you're like a retired old Cuban guy who's got nothing better to do. Sure, why not? And he kind of just hangs out and talks with people. Okay, all right. So That's enough of that. Dollar Tree, and holy crap, look at these brownies here. That it looks really good, and you can get all of the ingredients at Dollar Tree.
Oh, for the record, Charles, I love Dollar Tree.
Thank you. We kindred spirits.
Indeed.
Unlike we're just gonna save our friend. We're gonna save our friend. Sports Goofs After Dark mini episodes saving Francisco's skull from abusive relationship that is Aldi's.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Our German overlords will take over. Don't worry.
Oh, we're into Germany now?
Well, Aldi's is German, so yeah. Well, they did a really weird thing in the UK as an aside here. They were gonna have like a program where they would have like gamers kind of bully your kid into quitting to play online games so that they can go and eat dinner with their families. It was a whole weird thing. Go look it up. Aldi's is much bigger in Europe, by the way. They're like a legitimate supermarket over there, like kind of like Publix, not like a little mini market, which they have here in the U.S. Actually, and Aldi's and Trader Joe's are the same company, if you guys didn't know that either.
So are they really
also-
German then, or are they just a typical conglomerate? They'll be whatever that their consumers are.
Well, they're
You see, they're
based,
lying
they're
to
based
you.
from Germany.
Yeah. Dollar Tree, everything in Dollar Tree, Francisco, is $1.
Yeah.
Aldi's not even German. You want to be in bed with that? You want to be in bed with that?
Well, with Germany since the reunification, yeah, I'll be fine with them like that.
And kind of on a downer note, but the founder of Trader Joe's passed away this week.
Yeah, I saw
So,
that.
Rest
I
in
saw
peace,
that.
sir.
Okay, so
What's yours? Did you go yet?
I did. Didn't I tell you? Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so focused on the game.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're so focused on the game, can we talk about the NBA and you can just completely zone out?
What's that?
He's already zoned out. I said NBA and he's gone. All right, Charles. Let's talk about the NBA now. Let me get some facts out of the way. NBA Eastern Conference Player of the Month, Jason Tatum. So yeah, he had a good month. He had a really good month actually. NBA Western Conference Player of the Month, LeBron James, who also had a really good month at 35 years old and not stopping. He is a cyborg, and we all have not figured it out yet. So, but he needs to be tested. That's for sure. NBA Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Let's see who I had it right here. Oh yeah, Giannis. Even though even though he fell to our Miami Heat this week, but it was only just him previewing the team he's going to sign with as soon as he hits free agency. That's all.
You're in that conspiracy theory. You got 20 minutes to talk about that? Jesus.
We're not going to talk about that for 20 minutes. Don't worry. And then NBA Knicks fans are going to cry about this. Kristaps Porzingis, Western Conference Player of the Week. So, yeah.
They got a lot to cry about.
Oh, yeah. Well, now Spike Lee is not allowed through the employee entrance, apparently. There's a whole thing about that.
What happened?
Okay, so Spike Lee, longtime Knicks fan,
He's
Knicks fan.
Right.
So even Andrew knows about Spike Lee. That's for shizzle. That's Snoop Dogg. But anyways, who was at the LA Kings game. He was there for 90s night.
I know.
And
that was amazing.
He read the opening lineups to the Kings players. He had the old 90s Kings jersey, the Gretzky era jerseys. Not the Burger King, but, you know. And so that was pretty cool to see. That's an aside anyways. But, yeah, Spike Lee got into like an issue because he was trying to get into Madison Square Garden through the employee entrance in the back rather than using the VIP entrance, which he normally would use. I don't know. Maybe it was a flex, like a power move by Spike Lee, who I guess in some ways probably feels he is part of the team at this point.
He's certainly the most notable guy on the team right now.
Oof. That's a good one, actually.
Oof. Damn. Can you put some aloe to that
Yeah,
burn?
exactly. Dear Lord. Oh, the Knicks.
Because he's not wrong.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit.
The Knicks' terribleness transcends the sport of basketball. That is for
does.
sure.
the Knicks just got burned by the most probably anti-basketball person
I wouldn't
on the
say
show,
I'm,
at
I
least.
wouldn't say I'm
On the show.
You're not anti-basketball. You're just not.
I'm just not that interested in it.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah, okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not like me anti-soccer, I'm not. Well,
Or like-
I'm less anti-soccer than I used to be. And Inter Miami started their whole thing, and they lost anyway. So there's more losing teams down here in South Florida now. That's great. One more to add to the collection here. Okay, so those are your players of the week. Zion v. LeBron. Did you see any of it, Charles?
I did. I watched that last Wednesday, and in my head, I wasn't really looking about it as a Zion v. LeBron. I was literally looking as Anthony Davis. This is what you left us, and also the destruction that is poor Lonzo Ball, and how he's just irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
That's the real storyline. It's not so much of Zion being the phenom in the pros, because we kind of know what's going on there. But it was intriguing to me because, full disclaimer for anybody who remembers or doesn't recall, when the Pelicans drafted or got the first pick in the draft, and I said rigged, this all kind of played in. So you're trading away one franchise star whom you drafted at 19 with Anthony Davis, gave him a big extension. He says, I'm out because you don't fire Alvin Gentry, who is just not really a competent coach. Nice guy. Maybe a good interim if someone's sick or gets fired, a la Luke, what's his face over in Sacramento, who just destroyed Buddy Hield's career.
Luke Walton?
Luke Walton, can't, good as the interim, can't do anything between, but not really leader of men, sure, but not leader of a competent NBA team, along with so many other things. And then you got to remember what this trade was. It was Anthony Davis and like one other guy for you're in Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, who's playing lights out for that team. They got really lucky in him because if you put certain people in the focal point, maybe they can succeed in the big old games. And then you get Zion in there. So it was really, past meets present meets future, right? That was the storyline for me. LeBron's just going to be great against everybody. And at the end of the day, he can be impressed by Zion, but I know that the storyline he's more intrigued on, just from what you read, is him and Ja Morant because Ja plays a similar position.
Yeah.
They have different sizes.
I feel like Ja's gonna get the Rookie of the Year,
which he should.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it'd be really unfair if Zion, as much as he's playing brilliantly right now, obviously still a lot to his game that needs to improve, but it'd be a disservice to give it to somebody that played half a season,
Yeah. But I can understand the stats of it. The reason why I say Ja, whatever the Argentinians coming out. The reason why I say you put over Ja over Zion is one simple thing, is that I don't think anybody expected Morant to be this good this early in the game, even though he was the second pick, even though he's replacing Michael Conley, even though he's keeping a very young, very hungry Memphis team relevant, where they went from being a rebuild to now like a reload. Whereas at the end of the day, New Orleans is still the same thing because they still have the same overglaring problems, in my opinion.
The Pelicans, and I'm looking here, they have an upside in that they have the easiest schedule amongst the teams they're jostling with, because they're in ninth place right now for that final spot in the Western Conference for the privilege of getting swept by the Lakers. But so I think the Pelicans have a good, as long as Zion stays healthy. If he's gone, then they are done. And the same thing for Ja Morant out in Memphis.
True.
Those bubble Western Conference teams, it's very much just about them keeping their stars healthy. But the Pelicans do have the best shot at closing out the season with the best record amongst those teams and taking the 8th seed. They've got, the ease of schedule down the stretch. The last 14 of the last 15 opponents are all below 500 right now. And that even includes the Grizzlies and the Kings and the Spurs, who are the teams that they're fighting against. So Um, we'll see. But I found it very interesting that the Pelicans really did play up to their competition. It was it was really it's a glimpse into what the Pelicans could be. Really, like you said, Lonzo Ball. They need an upgrade over him. They really do. Um,
And
Lonzo,
I
if
mean, he splits between that and Drew Holiday, right?
he,
Drew's still on there with that unnecessary contract.
yeah, but at the very least, Lonzo's movable. You can get rid of him at the very least, and you can upgrade very easily. It's very easy to find a serviceable point guard in the NBA. You don't. They don't need a superstar at that position. They just need somebody. I'm so, um, but it's it's really nice seeing New Orleans reinvigorated once again. As much as you want to say, or as much as many of us believe that yes, the NBA draft was rigged,
Rigged.
it saved the franchise because they were done they didn't have if Zion didn't play like this. So I'm glad about that. I'm happy for them. I think the Pelicans are like the Florida Panthers. You know, they 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 find a way to screw things up, and maybe just maybe this might be it. This might be the way that they finally claw themselves out of that deep hole that they've been in for so long. So that's my thoughts on that. I saw a ton of the highlights from there. Was that sequence where Zion just powered his way to a dunk, and then LeBron comes up and answers back with a deep three. So it was beautiful to see those two guys go at it. Zion still got some things about his game. His handles are still, could use work, but they're gonna have time to work that out. I mean, he's probably by year 3 he'll be, if all goes well, he'll have ironed out that part of his game, and but I mean, as far as the other stuff is concerned, his drive to the basket and stuff. I mean, look out. If you give him even just a little bit of space, you are done. You are toast, and it's gonna be really fun to see. When we haven't seen a guy that like this physical specimen in quite a while. I mean, he's physically just looks larger than LeBron already. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, he doesn't eat too much. All of that good food out in New Orleans, as Charles can attest to. That's for sure.
Very tasty. First off, that boy is going to explain to me this because I forgot. I think it was Mark Jackson when Zion Verse came on. He was like, he's a big boy. He's fat or close to it. That man is like 6'6", 270 pure muscle.
That's
like, if he wanted to be a pro wrestler, he could be. Vince would fall in love with him. I feel like that's the knock on him is they think if he could stop eating all the good food. I'm like, get the hell out of here. I love money more than I love the beignets. I think he does too.
That's a criticism. Yeah, that's even been said. Channing Crowder, one of the radio guys down here, former NFL player, former Gator Boo. He was like he thinks he's fat, but he's not fat. He's just a big guy. He's kind of like Frank Thomas. I've met Frank Thomas. That man is huge. He is just big. He's just a big guy. That's just the way he developed. That's his genes. That's whatever. I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson can tell you that. That's for sure. And Neil deGrasse Tyson also wrestled, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah, he was a wrestler in high school. Yeah,
he was just too good for the creativity. Side note, and I'm just gonna say this. I guess we're gonna have our first like sports goof radio beef. I listen to Hockman and Crowder. Not impressed. So what am I gonna?
I don't listen to their hour-long things. I just listen to whatever guest that they have on. Like, yeah, just whatever guest that I'm interested in that they have on. Like, I could care less about the NFL guys because Dolphins are just gonna find a way to suck anyways. And
Wasn't he a former Dolphin too? Yeah.
yeah, he was. That's the reason he's down here. He's a former
Yeah,
Dolphin.
and
Played about.
did he accomplish much?
Have the Dolphins
He's
accomplished
the guy
much?
that I
Because
remember
then
in
no.
Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Channing.
Yeah, he's a player to remember to forget for the future. That's for sure. But
it's
but
gonna
he's
happen. It's
but
gonna happen.
I mean I like his personality too, so it's not that bad.
He's
but-
funny, but his analysis of things is very. Him and Hockman, they just don't mesh for me.
Yeah, there's some things, but once again, I only listen to snippets of them. I don't listen to them. I can't listen to 4 hours of that. I just can't. It just can't. It's hard. It's really hard to do that. Just okay, who do they have on? This guy talking about the Heat. I like the Heat. That's what I'm going to listen to. This and they barely ever talk about baseball or hockey. So,
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's South Florida. All right. So, what were we talking? Oh yeah, Zion being fat. Well, he's not fat. He's just a big boy. He's just those genes. He's got big bones. That's that's what he is. He's big boned. He probably is big boned. So.
Man's built like a Greek athlete from the old Olympus days, man, or Olympian days. Like, Zion, we got your support, buddy. Even though it was rigged for you going to New Orleans, because chances are you should have gone probably to Sacramento, but we don't want your career to go to hell with Vlad Divac and everybody in there. You know, the NBA gods care about you.
Yeah. Oh, dear God, they would have ruined him.
They would have just destroyed him.
Because the Pelicans have treated him like he's made out of porcelain or something. They don't want another Greg Oden. That's what everybody wants to avoid. All right, so
Miami.
Yeah. Oh, the Heat. You want to talk about the Heat a little bit? Quick about the Heat. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 minutes. 2 minutes on it.
Yeah.
You're welcome, NBA East haters, because this 50 and something Bucks team just got to smack it down on us by us. And I understand that one game does not make a difference, but everybody was ugly. And it's the idea of, can you keep that pace of play going on throughout the season?
Yeah.
Especially when you have a coach because here's the thing. Sometimes your coach in the NBA, and this is rare, is better than the player that you have on that court. And Spo was locked in because nobody was shooting good on either side of the team. Dudes were going like 5 of 16. Jimmy was going like 5 of 14. It was just playing
that
bad.
Second quarter was like I think they were 1 of 9 from 2-point range or something like that. It was really bad.
It was Charles on the Miami Blacktops back in the FIU days when he was just trying to get a little cardio involved, making bricks, man. Nothing. Air balls, whiffing out. And it's the idea of knowing your rotation, knowing your players of whom to trust, and then still letting certain guys get acclimated. And it goes down, and I guess my 2 minutes of the Heat is that how the hell does Eric Spoelstra just not get – I understand, guys, one game would do nothing. But it was kind of an important game because we're taking the 76ers, the frauders, away from us because you got to build that momentum. This is the opportunity now, right? This is the opportunity as they're kind of slimming down a little bit with Simmons and Embiid out. But I feel like we can kind of catch Boston. They're another.
The goal is not to be stuck at 4 or 5.
Oh yeah.
The goal is not to face Indiana or even Philly at this point if they have their guys healthy.
Oh yeah, because they would eat us alive. And that's me who has kind of crapped on the 76ers for an entire.
I mean, if you've seen the games that we won against them, I mean, 2 of them were like nail biters, and there were 2 blowouts on each end on their home floor. So it's not as wide of a gap between the 2 as people think it is.
And we are not good away either. So that's why it's like you want to get a higher seed because we're right now at the standings 13-18, 26-4, like the best record for a home team.
Yeah, they love Miami, yeah.
Yeah, and playoffs, and I never understood that. So one day someone has to I think it's all a placebo effect because it's not like the rims are different, pal. But that's just me. I understand the idea of energy and crowd, but whatever. That's my thoughts on the Heat.
Okay. All right, Ed, let me just get one of these out the way. Better know a minor league team, and
Let's do it.
Yeah, I wanted to do the Grand Rapids Drive, not the Griffins. That's the minor league hockey team, which I guess I could cover some other day as well. But yeah, the Drive, all because I don't know if you guys heard the rant that their head coach went on.
Nope.
I forgot what heck happened to him. I don't know if he got suspended or not. Let me see right here. Let me just put coach, and he used to play with Michael Jordan, and this and that. Okay, I guess. Oh no, it was the coach of the Wisconsin Herd facing off against the Grand Rapids Drive because he called. So basically, I think he got fined for calling the referee an effing clown after the game during the media sesh right there. So it was the Grand Rapids Drive opponent in that one. But Grand Rapids Drive, they are in the NBA G League. Their ownership group, SSJ Group, which they used to be. So the history here, they used to be out in Anaheim. Their history is the Anaheim Arsenal from 2006 to 2009, the Springfield Armor from 2009 to 2014, and then they moved to Grand Rapids, became the Drive from 2014 to now. They play at Deltaplex Arena. Their team president is Ben Wallace. So
Really?
Big Ben is the team president. So he's helping the Pistons with the with their minor league affiliates, helping to try and make the Pistons great again at Little Caesars in Detroit.
That's impossible right there.
You never
Bad
know.
team.
They've got one division title, 2018, 2019. So not pretty recently. And yeah, they were the Anaheim Arsenal. They were, this is way back when there were very few G League teams. So they were the G League affiliate of the Hawks, the Clippers, the Magic, and the Blazers way back when. So they then moved to Springfield, Massachusetts, and then moved to Grand Rapids in 2014. And that's, let's see, who's on their roster here? Is anybody that we recognize? Probably not. All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of them. That's the Grand Rapids Drive for that better known minor league team. And I had a player I won't remember to forget as well. Do you guys remember a player named John Buck?
Is that Joe Buck's father?
No.
Oh.
It's a player, not a broadcaster.
Well, his father used to be a player.
Oh, well. Anyways, no, his name is John Buck. All right, John Buck. Oh, you guys really forgot. He hasn't been. Well, he actually hasn't played since 2014. Former catcher, Major League Baseball. We'll get him on Baseball Reference. I thought you would know him of all people, though.
John Buck?
Yes. Do you know why I chose him?
Because he's a catcher?
Well, yes, he's a catcher. Yes, he is a catcher. 5.6 WAR over his career. 144 hits, 134 home runs, 234 batting average. Played for the Kansas City Royals, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Miami Marlins, and the Florida Marlins. The New York Mets, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Seattle Mariners, and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at that time. But you don't know why I chose this guy?
What, did he play for UCF?
No. His masks. He was the only catcher that had painted masks.
Really? I did not know that.
You did not know that? Go look it up. Actually, let me put it up on the freaking screen here. I'll put John Buck masks. So, Major League Baseball, once again, Clown Missioner Rob Manfred.
Oh, that's sick.
So, in the NHL, the goalies can paint their masks pretty much to put whatever the heck they want on there, as long as it's not offensive. Major League Baseball, even since the institution of the goalie-style mask for catchers, hasn't allowed their catchers to paint their masks. They're always like a plain, generic striping pattern in the team colors. However, John Buck, I think specifically asked Major League Baseball, I don't know if he even paid for it, he paid like to a charity or something, asked for them to allow him to paint his mask, and he did. And he pretty much, just like a goalie in hockey, painted it to match the team and the city that he was playing for. So when he played for the Marlins, he had Marlins and stuff. When the Marlins moved to moved further south to Miami and changed the colors and everything, he had a mask to reflect the skyline of Miami, the sunset or sunrise, the Marlin on there. When he was on the Blue Jays, he had a Blue Jay on there, flying on his mask. So he is mostly. He should be remembered for that. Please do not forget him about that, because to my knowledge, he is the only catcher that was allowed to do this. And I hope beyond all hope that Major League Baseball allows the catchers to do this, because it would be so much fun. It'd be something you could promote and look forward to, just like they do for goalies in hockey. A lot of goalies every year switch the design on their masks, or whenever they get traded to a new team. So that's my player to remember to forget. And I bet I've driven Andrew down the rabbit hole of his mask designs at this point.
Although I have I guess I have a return one for you. Let me make sure I have his name correct.
Is this one of your name games that we did last time? Okay.
No, it's another player we remember to forget. This is a trivia question for both of you. Who was the first catcher to wear the hockey style mask?
Ooh, when did the hockey style mask even debut? Like 96, 97?
Sure. I believe it was in 96.
Okay.
I mean, I just want to say Paul O'Neill, because that's the only one that matters to me, but I know I'm wrong on that.
Wait, Paul O'Neill wasn't a catcher.
Paul O'Neill was in a right fielder, right?
No. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of a different person.
Are you thinking
I'll be
Paul
doing research as you guys do.
Okay,
things.
so let's see. Well, Yankee catcher Jorge Posada definitely wore the old style.
It's not a Yankee.
Okay,
yeah, it's not a Yankee guy.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of the players from around that era.
Need a hint?
I'm thinking like an O'Neill guy for some reason.
Yeah, give me a hint.
Or Paul.
Well, you did get
Jason Kendall. No,
you did get the O part though, correct? There is an
okay, so
it's an O something. I want to make sure that I have the year correct.
Side note for you guys to laugh as he's going for the career, I just wanted to Google search on certain things. I know it was like an O popping into it, and the first thing that comes up is how to make French toast. America and everybody else in between. French toast is not the hardest thing to make. It is quite delicious, because you can just make it badly or very bad, or you can make it very well and it's still delicious. And if you F up, just get Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which is basically French toast in a cereal form. Full disclaimer.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, they had French Toast Crunch.
They do.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys give up, or do you want to give it another shot?
I have.
I knew it was an O, and that's as far as I went.
All right, so our excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So the answer to our second player we remember to forget for the day is Charlie O'Brien.
Oh, there you go.
Charlie O'Brien in 1996. By the way, he's from my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Fellow Tulsan. He won the 1995 World Series with the Braves. He played for the Oakland Athletics, Milwaukee Brewers, New York Mets, Atlanta Braves, Toronto Blue Jays, Chicago White Sox, Anaheim Angels, and ended his career with the Montreal Expos in 2000. stats. He had a 221 batting average, so hovering a touch over the Mendoza line. He had 56 home runs and 261 runs batted in. So, despite the fact that he actually played for 15 seasons, he didn't really accomplish that
I mean,
much.
he played for a lot of teams: Oakland, Milwaukee, New York, Mets, Braves, Blue Jays, White Sox. Dear Lord, he's been on a ton of teams: Anaheim Angels and Montreal.
Was he part of the Braves
wow.
when we got them dirty in the World Series?
What's that?
No,
Was he part of the Braves when we got them dirty on the World Series or no?
no, he was.
He was with them in '95 when they won the World Series, but he was the backup to Javi
Yeah,
Lopez.
he was in Toronto in '96, and in '99
There
he
you
was
go.
in Anaheim.
Okay.
He
So-
played for the Wichita State Shockers. For the record, it's not the explicit sort of shocker that you're probably thinking. It's a shorthand for a wheat shocker.
Yeah,
Look that up. It's not dirty or anything. Anyway, he was hit in the mask, the old style mask, by 2 consecutive foul tips in the same game. So while he was watching a hockey game, he had the idea to basically wear a hockey mask while he was catching. He worked with a company out of Hamilton, Ontario. They came up with the All-Star MVP, which was approved in 1996 by Major League Baseball. So, Mr. Charlie O'Brien invented and wore the first hockey style. Speaking of Jorge Posada, he's in the game right now. So he invented, not Jorge, Charlie O'Brien, invented the first hockey style mask, which is now used by quite a few players today.
Yeah.
Including John Buck, who...
well, he hasn't played since 2014.
Right, but John Buck wore it when he played and got the
yeah.
really cool design, which MLB was stupid and no fun and decided to take that away from us.
I mean, they never even gave the option. That's the thing. They've just said you just can't paint your mask. Okay. Ugh. I freaking. All right. I don't have a Hall of Famer, and Andrew does not want to do Fulmer Cup because it's been depressing for this year.
It has been. Listen, I can do it if you want, but finding a quote unquote uplifting or not fun.
Uplifting arrest.
What happened to an old pot charge?
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
It's just everybody's getting a
Yeah.
I mean,
A little drinking in public.
I mean, there are some, I guess, but
Never try to rob a Wendy's with an alligator. Come on now.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find some funny ones, because
Yeah. Well, if you can find one, please do. I wanted to just touch upon a little hockey since we're here. NHL play 3 stars of the month were announced, and we have Hart Memorial favorite at this point, Leon Draisaitl, as the first star for the month out in Edmonton for the Oilers.
that would have been a fun name too. Well, I mean, you could have spelled it.
Well, I would have recognized that. Mika Zibanejad for the New York Rangers was the second star, and the Rangers have been freaking hot all over February. They've catapulted themselves back into this playoff race, and I had said in the last previous episode about the trade deadline. It bodes well for the Rangers next season. Anyways, and David Pastrnak for the Boston Bruins is the third star, and the Bruins are the best team in the league right now. So that only makes perfect sense for him to be one of their players, be one of the best players of the month. So there's that. I'll try and do this within the next minute or so. So there's some pretenders out here for the Panthers. this kind of goes into a segment that I wanted to talk about. It's called a new idea I wanted to try out. Last game, next game.
All right.
So this is basically what was the last game that you saw that you actually sat down and wanted to view and watch, or forced to view and watch, and what's the next game that in the calendar that you're looking forward to that you want to watch. So for me, my last game was an in-person experience because I went to the Florida Panthers game on Saturday when they faced off against the Chicago Blackhawks.
And lost.
They lost in a shootout. At the very least, they got that done. But once more, the Florida Panthers continue this toilet drain of a season. They are spiraling at this point. They're not that far out of a playoff spot. But it almost seems insurmountable at this point to make up the 5 or 6 points at this point that they're out from a playoff spot because of how horrible they've been playing. And I saw it firsthand at the game. And it's really, you see, as much as the convenience of watching any live sporting event at home, you see so much more when you actually go. And when I went to see the Panthers, I noticed a lot of defensive and just even decision-making play or situations where I'm like, guys, do this, do that. And this is me from a guy who has never played a lick of hockey in my life, but even I know that there's better ways to do this because I've seen better players do this. Like, I know this is the highest of the high, but Sidney Crosby. That's the best player in the league over the past generation. But he does things with purpose. Our Lord and Savior is on the screen anyway, so please, everybody, pay your respects. And he has almost killed the umpire there, but if let it be done, as they would say.
He pinch hit for A-Rod, by the way.
Okay. All right. Just a lot of that, and the Panthers, if they need smarter players at this point. As much as they have good talent on paper, it does them no good if the players don't even know how to use their talents and how to read situations. So that's my last game. As far as my next game is concerned, I'm a glutton for pain, aren't I? Because the Florida Panthers play the Boston Bruins very soon, and I'm probably going to watch that game. Not in person this time, but I'm probably going to be at this office like I've been the other nights and watching. I mean, the Heat have when do the Heat play next? They play against who do they play next? What's on the calendar for them? They play against the Orlando Magic next. So I don't know if I'll watch that game, but I probably will watch the Panthers because that'll be my next game. And I haven't been able to watch any spring training because, once again, Clown Mishner is not broadcasting a ton of spring training games. That's my next game.
How about you, Charles?
And it doesn't have to be like the traditional for pro sports. If it was wrestling or that type of stuff, or NASCAR or whatever.
We all know wrestling's never fair because it's every time. Granted, there is controversy in the world, which I will save for when the crescendo comes in. Last game watched, Lakers Pelicans. Next game watched, not necessarily a particular team, but it's that time of the year, March Madness. Gonna put me on. That's why I have CBS All Access when it isn't when it's not football going on. Do it for the tourneys. Do it for everything in there. Then I'll cancel that subscription once it's April. But get a little bit more college ball. It's kind of easy to catch up on the specific highlighted players, but what the good thing is, come the basketball that builds into it, you get to see the one seeds, two seeds, those top three seeds get a little bit over the players, because there's the usual subjects. There are some big standouts that I did not expect this year: Baylor, San Diego State. I think Kansas is now number one overall. Duke is just having a very bad season. North Carolina's just trash,
Yeah.
man, real bad, unexpected. Roy Williams just sitting there is like, wait, you mean to tell me I don't know how to coach men anymore? And I'm like, Roy, we've always said that. Sorry to tell you. You just don't know how to coach kids. Sometimes a college basketball program succeeds on who they can have enter their school and enroll and they sign, as opposed to actually having real coaches who can develop guys with what they got. And I always think a person and a coach who's no longer coaching in the college league but is doing in the pros is Brad Stevens, because he was able to put some work in with now I forget the name because I had to actually go into the recess in my brain. It starts with a B. You guys know who I'm talking about, because Lord knows my brain doesn't want to work right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I know, right? That's what happens when you get old. Everything just it's the Bulldogs or something of that nature. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me. Hold that sock for 2 seconds. Don't give up on me now, baby. Please work. Please work. He's coaching for the Celtics. Wikipedia, what do you have for me? It's gonna happen.
The coach of the Boston Celtics right now, Brad Stevens.
No, Butler. Butler.
Oh, okay.
Because he worked with what he had, including Gordon Hayward, took him to a couple of finals and the Madness tourney, and then transitioned to being a great coach. So this is his opportunity this time of the year. What I look forward to kind of find the next game being whatever is that team that's on the bubble radar. Because I haven't watched San Diego State, I haven't watched Baylor. Your Florida State Seminoles are like number 5 or number 6. I want to watch that. Last year they did pretty good coming into the tourney. Now it might be different. It's those kind of games that I want to see building into it, because I want the upset. I want the weird team to win. I want FAMU to come back and just do some weird stuff like they did a couple years ago. Yeah, man. We love those. Yeah, the Terriers, Retrievers. It's time. This is the time for the year for, the weird teams to win. Like, let's go for the Scarlet Ibises somewhere out there. Random team created. Yeah. The Chinchillas.
Yeah, even though we haven't played Guess That College Team Name forever, but you don't have any new names for us for this week? Nah.
Well, I guess I can give you one since UCF was playing them tonight in baseball. Jacksonville University.
Dolphins? Okay, that's perfect. All right. Okay, so we're at 2 hours, so
we are at 2 hours.
Oh, we can actually participate a lot more in this, because didn't we want to talk about going off to the cage here? Movies, because I posted something about certain Bautista in a new movie this month.
I have so much I can comment on this. And
please,
ladies and gentlemen,
go ahead.
This is not going to be your typical kind of cage. This is Cage with weapons this kind of year. This is like War Games Cage. This is like Hell in a Cell, because as I always exclaim, welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex, The Cage with Charles. Remember, wrestling is not fake. It is scripted. It is a dance. It is a ballet. It's a waltz. It's a story of men and women chasing titles, revenge, everything of that nature that comes in between. And it's about Vince McMahon's ego really pissing me off half the time. You guys, so many things have happened coming into it. But before we go into the details of what happened last week in Saudi Arabia, or even over in AEW World with their pay-per-view Revolution, we pose a fun question, because Batista has a movie coming out this month. He's a spy or a soldier, and he's done with like a little girl. And so I don't know the name of it. Francisco did, because obviously I'm not prepared for that segment.
It was either The Spy or I Spy, something like that.
Something of that nature. Of course, if I can figure out Brad Stevens and Butler, then maybe I can go from there. But you pose the question of what is the best wrestling movie that we've seen, because now the mainstream has come out. It's called My Spy.
Not really like the best wrestling movie, or the best movie with a wrestler in it.
A best movie with a wrestler in it.
Okay, all right.
Because the best movie about wrestling is The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, to which I contend that he should have won the Oscar for it. Roddy Piper cried when he saw it. Granted, Sean Penn's acting in Milk was fantastic, but I'm always more partial to an actor who can actually create his own character, as opposed to studying a living, breathing human being and adapting to that person's quirks and styles and mimicking. That's just me. We're not inside the actor's studio. Rest in peace, James Lipton. We're in the cage, and the cage, it's anything goes. So we were thinking, hey, what's a couple things for Batista since he's out there? My favorite Batista movie coming in or featuring a wrestler. I'm going to go with him to start off with, even though it's debatable. But I thought that was the best movie of 2017, Blade Runner 2049. He had, or 2047, I don't remember, but Blade Runner 2, as some people call it. He had a small scene. It was great. You've never witnessed a miracle. That outside, he was an inspector, not that great. I was indifferent. I'm excited for No Time to Die. I like me some James Bond. We'll go from there. John Cena is coming up in the Fast and Furious 9. I don't know why you would even call it Fast and Furious 9, because as far as I'm concerned, Hobbs and Shaw was Fast and Furious 9 because it's just as ridiculous, but whatever. And then The Rock is also in there too, doing all these other things. We also know him as Moana, so I feel bad for all those people out there who had kids during the Moana time and they had to hear "You're welcome" all the time. Whereas us cool millennials who know how to use GIFs and everything and memes as a response to say "You're welcome."
Wait, is it GIFs or GIFs? Is it GIFs or GIFs for you guys?
GIFs?
I'm not. And there's no. I mean, everybody has a different way to say it.
I think
GIF?
the creator calls
I say
it GIF.
GIF. I'm going GIF.
I think
I'm going GIF.
I switch. I think I usually just go with GIF.
I think I betrayed myself by saying GIF.
I think, and I used to call it, because it used to be called a CompuServe GIF, because that's what it used to be called, way back when, graphic design knowledge from the past. But we all remember CompuServe. That was a long time ago.
I do remember CompuServe.
So, yeah. But yeah, I go with GIF now. I mean, whatever. It's a weird. Okay, sorry, I threw you off your game there, but yeah, I'm putting on the screen here like this Den of Geek, top 50 wrestler appearances in movies. They get the Fabulous Freebirds and Highlander, and these are like Sergeant Slaughter in the G.I. Joe movie, Nathan Jones, Troy, Hulk
Which
Hogan.
He just died, so
yeah,
Hogan has a lot.
No,
he was in Three
Hulk
Ninjas, you guys. High Noon or High Mountain.
That movie that he was in, where there's like a scene where the guy's throwing a dog into the river. Okay,
What?
you guys have not seen this?
I've seen Ron Burgundy because Baxter gets kicked.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. I have to bring this up. Sorry, Charles. Keep talking while I find this.
Well, I will get you through the list of what I've watched because it's very tough. First off, Hulk Hogan, since you mentioned that he was Thunderlips in Rocky 3. I'm telling you right now, Thunderlips is like the best name that you could do. So shout out to him. I personally loved him in Mr. Nanny. I think he was in a tutu beating up people. It was great. He was also in No Holds Barred. And then, our good friend, you guys remember DK David Krogh? He explained to me No Holds Barred once where he basically thinks that Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon just did a line of drugs and wrote this movie out because it was two of them together. Shout out to you, whatever you're doing in your life. He was in Three Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain. I personally love the Three Ninjas. Colt, Rocky, Tum Tum, great stuff. I kind of want to rewatch it, but I also don't want it to be ruined. A lot of good stuff that kind of comes in. You get a little bit of the memorabilia that, in the nostalgia. Everything goes from there.
Okay, so it was in Mr. Nanny.
It was Mr. Nanny. There you go.
So it was in Mr. Nanny. So and I'm probably we're gonna get copyright struck for this one too. Let me blow this up on the screen real quick here. So it's just him on his motorcycle being all Hulk Hogan in the middle of Tampa. And you can clearly tell it's Tampa just from the streets and the city and so here he goes. And for some reason, in the background of him here at the, 14, 15, there's a guy, and I'm going to slow it down for as much as possible, throwing a dog into the river in the background. And I have no idea why. It's Florida. It's Tampa. There's weird stuff happening all the time.
They're
like
feeding
this.
The gators.
Just a guy throwing his dog into the river. It's just
we
so
here
random.
at Sports Goofs do not condone animal cruelty. I'm just gonna say that right now.
I have no idea. I don't know what the context of this was. Who knows? Maybe the dog likes being thrown into the river, but it is there in the background of this movie. And that is an aside by me.
Well, that puts it out there, but I will give you, to move on, because there's a lot of wrestling. I don't want to steal everybody's time with my dulcet tones and excitement. The best one I've seen, Roddy Piper, and They Live. He is known for comes into the bank, he's got a shotgun, comes in, says, I am here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And he does it with such intensity and greatness that he should get an Oscar for it, but he didn't get nominated, obviously. It's an enjoyable film, kind of cheesy. It's it's Wes Craven, I believe, coming into it, so you know what you're getting in there. But it was fun. There's going to be more because wrestling has now become a cross-platform of sports entertainment, Hollywood. WrestleMania is in Hollywood next year, and of course, people from actual sports coming over, such as your rumor of certain UFC fighters jumping the ship. You got Ronda Rousey, Tito Ortiz is coming in, and then you have Giannis Antetokounmpo and his Bucks liking to imitate WWE all the time.
It's the showmanship that most people. I mean, it's the spectacle of it all, right? Like that's it. It's what drives
baseball
people to
frontman Fred if he did a cross relationship with some wrestling, I would watch it more. Yeah, I will watch teams I don't care about. I'll watch the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't care. Let's do it. Let's do it. So guys, so much has happened last week, and I am like mentally exhausted in being a wrestling fan because it takes a lot. It's a burden. It's a burden to big cross the bear to be right about something, knowing that it's going to kill you on the inside. And that's sometimes what happens when you get these Saudi Arabia pay-per-views. But before we get to Saudi Arabia for WB, we're going to talk about AEW Revolution real quickly. Jon Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose, has now been crowned as your All Elite Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, and like an 18-minute match with Chris Jericho, to which it ended with a paradigm shift. They were running the story of an eye patch where Moxley was blind because of Jericho's earlier attacks, and he got caught up. That was an okay match. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. Really, match of the night for me was the Young Bucks going against Adam Page and then Kenny Omega in a pretty good spot fest of tag teams, and the storyline still continues of is Hangman Page going to turn against his boy Kenny Omega because it's the dissolving of the Elite. The Young Bucks might go heel. We'll see. Under a little underrated match. I like where it's going with it, but I wonder what they're going to do. Cody versus MJF. Cody's kind of the star of the show, but let's talk about something I don't agree with. Cody, your neck tattoo, it's your body, dude. You do what you want, but it's just a weird product placement.
Wait. Neck tattoo?
Type in Cody Rhodes neck tattoo.
Oh, let's see what Twitter said about this.
Well, here's the thing. I follow Cody on Twitter. I respect to follow us on Twitter, Sports Goofs, Charles the True, FJR, JR, and Dan Frijoles. You can see what our things do for there. I like Cody. I like what he's doing, building another alternative. I respect you, body. I got a tattoo too. Not everybody likes my stuff, but neck tattoos are weird, man. Maybe in 20 years from now.
Wait. Is this it? Is this really it? This with the American flag and whatever?
Yeah.
What is that? Cody Rhodes actually.
That's just.
Look, I love this because he tweeted out back in January 26th of this year, what's the best tattoo joint in the Atlanta area, and then he proceeded to get whatever the heck this thing is, And then this guy who tweeted it, he's like, Cody Rhodes actually found the worst tattoo joint area in the Atlanta area.
So I know this is going to sound inflammatory, and Cody, if you're listening, we still love you.
Is it that is legitimately real?
That is the most memorable thing I saw in the pay-per-view. Yes, that's the most memorable thing out of the pay-per-view. And there's a lot of good stuff, but I can't get that tattoo out of my head.
It's like, what is it like kind of like a skull.
It's a
skull. Yeah, it's a skull with like wings, like fairy wings on the side of it. That's a weird call.
It could be an anchor. It could be a crown. I mean, here's the thing, Cody. Big balls on you, dude. Big balls on you, because I do not have that self-confidence. I mean, look, everything's great. Your Doc Pharaoh's great. your wife Brandy's beautiful. You have your own business with Tony Khan. I don't have that confidence. I have an elephant on my left bicep, and that was good enough for me. I don't know if I could do your thing. And maybe it's because he's got a better neck than I do, so go from there. But that being said, aside from how I feel about Cody Rhodes and his neck tattoo, Revolution was good. It's what they needed. I still don't like paying $50 for things, so that's why I YouTube it. Don't tell people. I don't want to get arrested. But
there's a debate here.
it's
Who
building on
who
the
made
right
a worse
stories.
decision this week, Jack Gallagher or Cody Rhodes with their tattoos?
Oh, okay. So Jack Gallagher's tattoos are just ridiculous because you're just a pasty white boy, basically leaving your chest to be a crochet of your grandma's favorite love to old England. It is. I don't know if he was trying to typecast for a role for the next London mobster movie.
Oh my
but
God.
It's so weird because if you look at Jack Gallagher's stuff, he's got like his nipples aren't tattooed, and it's weird. It reminds me of Adam Levine and his shirtless thing, and I'm just uncomfortable with these pasty white men's nipples always around my eyes. So I mean, Cody, if you had to ask me if you're a Jack Gallagher, who's a good wrestler, go support him. Tattoos is better. Your tattoo is much better than Jack Gallagher basically saying, hey, you guys like painting with a twist? Well, the twist is my bare skin is the canvas and I am your muse. Go ahead. Or Mother England is the muse.
Oh God.
It is. You guys gotta get a zoom on that. It is.
I
it is something.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to zoom in on it, to be honest.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link off hours because it is not safe for work. It is just very frightening.
Most people are going with Cody on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cody because I can handle these bad tattoos because Vince McMahon has hurt me. The way Aldi's has hurt you.
Wait, hold on
Vince
now.
McMahon.
Aldi's has been nothing but a delight for me. But sorry, that's a whole different argument right there.
Here's the thing: put it on the poll. I know Vince is a bad man.
I'll put it on
I know
TikTok.
Vince is bad for
Give
me,
a good
but
how do you do, fellow kids?
put it on TikTok.
There, yeah.
We're gonna get more connected with the youth in Manfred. So. Last week was Super Showdown. If you guys remember correctly, I was not really invigorated or excited for the pay-per-view because I didn't think much was going to happen. But I did have a particular bet with my buddy. And I said, hey, the main matchup that people were looking for, which turned out to be the main event, which kind of hint, wink, wink, everything, was Bill Goldberg, a.k.a. Goldberg, because I don't think they call him Bill anymore in WWE, at 53 years old, getting it out of nowhere, a Universal title shot against The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, my second favorite thing of 2019 wrestling. First one being Kofi Mania. It was fantastic. For the Universal belt. And so Brock Lesnar destroyed Ricochet in 1:31 seconds. That was unexpected. Morrison and Miz won the tag titles for the New Day. And then Bill Goldberg won the Universal Championship after 4 spears and a jackhammer to the feet that he could barely lift off. And it hurt being right about that prediction because it's kind of like having a child, like, don't put your hand on the stove. Don't put your hand on the stove. But you know the stove is hot and they're going to do it anyway. So you deal with the minor pleasure of seeing the hand kind of get burned on the stove. But then you have to hear the sacrifice of them crying afterwards. And you're like, okay, I got to be a parent. This is how I felt knowing that Vince McMahon was going to destroy something I loved as a complete character to just nostalgia and cheap fan base, and it hurt. Me and my paralegal were there, and we saw it happen. And
oh no,
he was angry. I was not happy. I was happy at being right because my vanity needs me to be correct about things, but it hurt that I was right about this because now I had to go deal with the crying child who burned their hand for a couple hours, making it bigger than what it is after I warned about being hot, and that crying child was me. So the setup is Roman Reigns versus Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania, so it's going to be Spear City, aka Snooze City, and the hope is that everybody's going to boo Goldberg out of the audience, so they're happy that Roman wins, and now we're going to have The Fiend versus John Cena, which would have been so much better if he still had the title, and the story was Bray Wyatt's a monster as The Fiend trying to get revenge on Cena because they had a feud in the past and Cena's trying to break Ric Flair's record. But I can't have nice thing, you guys. I'm going to get a free lunch out of it. And so I have another friend who's like, I'm canceling the network subscription. I'm like, let's not get too crazy here. It's $99 a month. I watch the NXT TakeOver stuff. I watch the other pay-per-views. I watch old wrestling when I'm cleaning up the house. What I did do was say I'm not going to watch Friday Night SmackDown until after Mania because I was literally livid. You guys know my love for The Fiend. I'm like, this is a original cool concept that this is goofy kind of wrestling that I like. And I'm like, I'm not going to contribute to Fox getting any ratings from it. So hopefully they'll cancel SmackDown as pure revenge or Vince will listen to us. What are you going to do? And what happens? They get even more ratings post Superstar Showdown. I can't win, you guys. But what I will say this, and I'm going to turn this into a positive note, WrestleMania is going to be weird, but WrestleMania as like a 5-6 hour pay-per-view is always going to be inconsistent. But I will say this, what AEW did right, versus what WWE did then is this. AEW gave the fans what they wanted. They gave Jon Moxley the championship. They didn't schmooze it out. They didn't do any like sweep you off your feet kind of thing. They gave the crowd what they want. What the WWE did and Vince McMahon did is they took a gamble and they're hoping. But, sometimes the greater the risk, the greater reward. But risk imports relation, as we learned from Judge Cardozo.
Oh, boy.
I told you it was no holds barred. Anything goes in the cage. We just hit some law school knowledge. But for AEW, it's okay to play it safe because you only have 5 or 6 pay-per-views out of the month. For WWE, when you're churning out a pay-per-view every month, people can get bored and want to skip it. So you got to give them something. So they took a risk. Everybody hated it. But sometimes that's life.
Yeah.
Because
just even the reaction here, AEW as a WWE guy is their champion. Do you not realize he was Jon Moxley before he was Dean Ambrose? Also, Goldberg is a WCW guy, so stop. It's ruffled a lot of feathers.
Yeah. And here's the thing that cracks me up. The one thing we look at it as is that my buddy, the one who cancels his subscription, he'll get it back for WrestleMania. So what, you saved $10?
Look at this here. AEW Dynamite is on Wednesday. Support a company that cares about fans. Wow.
Well, this is not true because here's the thing. NXT is still good, and I'll still watch Raw. The problem is that I'm more invested in NXT because I have a longer relationship to it, but I watch Dynamite when I can or if NXT is being slow. But here's the dynamic, and this is a little bit of hypocrisy. Chris Jericho won and was the first AEW champion. He's a 40-something-year-old old wrestler. Goldberg, 53 or something, is a champion who's going to help put over Roman, ideally. What's the difference? The difference is popularity and who you like. Jericho can still go. Goldberg can't. He's known for short matches. I think people are more upset because I would have been fine if it was anybody else that Goldberg killed in the ring. But you killed a character that was built to be unkillable, and then 4 spears and a jackhammer that was kind of botched. And Undertaker came back, and he's going to have a match with AJ Styles at Mania, and I'm ready for it. But if we were just going to put titles on older vets, I could have done with Fiend and Undertaker to pass the torch.
There's the people, the WWE, I guess.
The vitriol is strong, Francisco. It's strong.
There are people that that are trying to side with WWE on this storyline here, that trying to compare it to how AEW had Jericho as a champion, and people here saying that it's not even the same. It's like if you're thinking that they're even similar, then you deserve everything Vince McMahon is currently serving, according to this person. This is exactly why AEW is going to end up toppling them one day, because of stupid decisions like burying the hottest commodity you've had in years for a 53-year-old part-time who wasn't even good in his prime. F WWE as a staff, label, and as an MFing crew. Dear Lord, this is people are pissed. Holy crap.
Let me give you,
it's like having another Fire Emblem character in Smash Brothers.
7 times the charm, Francisco.
8 times at this point.
Oh my God. Let me leave you on this thought for that, because everybody is absolutely right. But there's a phrase in wrestling, from the indies to the big league. And that phrase is, when you buy your tickets, the same thing applies when you watch on your TV and you stream on YouTube illegally, or you go watch network, whatever it's called, card subject to change. So whenever you think that you're going to get this kind of thing, subject to change, man. There's more to it, but that's the motto, I think, of Vince, because originally it was supposed to be The Fiend versus Roman, and Vince took a chance. He said, well, I think if Roman's had a hard time getting over with the crowd. He's coming over it now, but he's not as top babyface heat yet, or not heat, but top babyface support yet. So the idea is that if Roman beats The Fiend cleanly at Mania, he's still not going to win over the crowd as a champion. So cards have to change of the original plans. Bam, things happen. Take the belt off The Fiend, which we all know Vince kind of regretted in the first place, because if he actually was all in on The Fiend winning the title, it would happen at Hell in a Cell, not at the other crown jewel that they had with that mix-up that we go 7 months ago in the past. But Vince took a gamble. The gamble is that will Roman get the love that he wants him to get as the top babyface, to sell merchandise, to sell tickets, to invest people to watch pay-per-views, to get them to watch SmackDown, if he beats Goldberg? And look at all this hatred. Look at all this hatred that they have. Yeah. Because you know what? I didn't watch SmackDown. SmackDown's ratings The 2 weeks prior was at like 2.4 million. SmackDown, Super Showdown afterwards, granted John Cena was coming back, was 2.7 million overall. So it went up by a 0.3 average higher. So that kind of speaks balance, is that sometimes you got to take that risk, because what if Roman goes out there on the mic, on the promo, says, you're a part-timer, you don't deserve that title, you say you never got your rematch, I had to relinquish my belt because I came back from cancer, I did all this stuff, and you mean to tell me that you think you're the better one? You think you're legend? You're nothing. I'm the guy here. The people deserve more. The people deserve to see a guy who busts his butt day in, day out. And you know what that happens? That creates a connection, that creates a story, that creates an investment, that creates a support, and that creates a WrestleMania crowd in Tampa when they see Goldberg sweating, just banging his head against the wall, getting a concussion, leading to cheers for Roman when Roman spears him 1,000 times. Because trust me, there's not going to be any wrestling in that match. That will be 10 minutes with entrances included, and Roman gets his Universal belt, and that's it. But people are going to get invested. Why? Because wrestling is a soap opera. It's a dance. And sometimes you rather see, like in every kind of soap opera, sometimes there's a season finale and a season premiere. And you want to see this season end, so you get a new season premiere, because the next day after Mania is basically the season premiere, baby. And you want to have it be Roman as Universal Champion and not have Goldberg for anything until the next Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, because that's where they like the old-timers to come in. And then he can go wrestle Kane and Big Show in a ladder match for a number one contendership for all times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whew.
Oh, boy. You got out of your system there?
I did.
Yeah?
I did.
Let's get the, yeah, okay, wow. I guess we're done here, guys. I mean, this is probably the longest show we've had for wow, we're almost at 2.5 hours. So yeah, we got to go now. They might kick me out of this building. We got a lot to talk about. Oh yeah. So all right. So we'll see you for 55 next week. Yeah, look for us on Twitter and TikTok.
Oh, before we go.
Oh.
We had discussed this a little bit earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanted to announce that we are in the process of creating a new spinoff to our humble little podcast. We are going to create a YouTube series tentatively called Sports Bar, which is going to delve into kind of the intersection between sports and law. Still a lot of things to work out.
We don't use my law degree for something at least.
Yes. Still a lot of things to work out. What topics, when we're going to air.
We have a good idea for a first episode, but
we're gonna leave it a surprise until we actually air the thing. But I think you all will enjoy it. We certainly have had fun discussing and throwing around ideas. So hopefully it'll be short little videos, maybe 10 minutes at most, to get that sweet YouTube
fun
money.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But it'll
we can't rely on EVE Online Everspace for that long,
unfortunately, or those cool headphones, whatever they're called.
The Astro Gaming headset.
The Astro Gaming headsets.
Well, they kind of got buried when I gave the sponsorship to MPOW E10.
They probably like, oh, we're pulling out. We're pulling out. You guys lost our 3 cents.
So look, we'll release more information in the future as we figure it out. But I figured we'd tell you because we're on the road to doing that, and I think you'll enjoy it as much as we've been enjoying coming up with it.
Okay. All right. Adios.
Good night, everyone.
Go to Dollar Tree, buy cool stuff. Don't go to watch our show, watch our new spinoff. We did it. We did the work for you. Good night.